So today I want to talk about creativity as a way of living, as a way of self-development, and the many other layers there are when we allow ourselves to live creatively. So talking about my personal experience, I felt through my journey moments where I felt extremely creative, some moments that I felt creative, and other moments that it really dropped and I felt completely blocked creatively. And all these different stages really taught me different things. And now, after these 8 years as a creative, when I look back into that, I can notice some patterns and I can see clearly how having an ongoing practice and being a creative can really transform not just my creative act, but also my life as a whole. So, what I see within me is being creative really means allowing my inner child to have a space to play, a space to be, a space to express. And it can be really, really fun, like when you get into that state and you just really enjoying being creative and playing, not necessarily hyper focused on the outcome. That is a really interesting state of flow. To me, often it happens when I'm trying new things and experimenting with colors or shapes. It's just a full creative chaos, and it's really interesting to see how it happens. Whereas at other times, I am in a creative exploration, but I have a specific outcome, and that's okay as well, but it's a different energy. It's not so much of let's see where that's gonna end up. Other times it's more like, okay, I need to get to this color. I wanna get this hue. How do I get there? So there's a space for different expressions of creativity within your creative practice itself. But personally, noticing where I am in this here and now moment and how to best use my energy is the biggest resource and the biggest self knowledge process that has happened with me over time. So at times I don't really feel like doing anything creatively, or I don't feel like doing what I have to do in my practice. And I notice that if I allow myself and just ask, what would I like to do? Not what do I need to do, but what I like to do. And from there, I do start playing around and creating, even if it's like I start sketching something, or I just get a bit of clay and make, to me, like a pinched pot is such a reset. Is a simple piece, like a little bit of clay, but brings me back to the present. And if I'm not really feeling that well, or there's too much in my mind, it's likely that the frustration will come with that pinched pot itself. And at least I can feel and let it happen through that piece that doesn't really matter that much to me. So that's what I think that's really interesting to notice on our creative practice. What are the emotions that are rising? Whether you're doing something completely new that's challenging you, whether you're doing something that you made many, many times, and in a way there is no mystery, really noticing, doing this, um, giving yourself this time to be self-aware of how you're feeling. Because if you really notice, you can kind of take an energetic picture of how were you feeling when you first got to your moment. Say if you have a studio, your studio. If you have a table where you're gonna work, a table where you're gonna work. And how did you leave? Because the in between you can really monitor, but I think that's really, really important to bring up, noticing the transformation that can happen at times in a half an hour session, at times in a full day session, working creatively, and how that really affects your life in a day-to-day basis. So to me, is a very important part of my day and my process, taking the time to sit and get creative in my studio. But at the moment, as I'm building this community and I have lots of demands, it really changed the flow of my creativity at the moment. So I'm making less with my hands in my studio as I'm on this process of setting up creative secrets. And that has transformed my flow. But it does really fill me up knowing that I'm creating this space where other creatives can connect. Because that's the piece that I find that's the missing piece for most creatives, this connection and the power of this connection. Just so to put in context, I'm part of other communities where I'm not leading the communities, I'm a member of other communities. Some are about business, some are about communities, and some are about other topics. But basically, what I notice within myself is being part of a community creates like this network, and it really empowers me to do things that I wouldn't do on my own. And that's what I feel like will happen with everyone in Creative Secrets as we spend more time in. So, as you get connected with other people, you have this network. It's inspiring to see other people going through their vulnerable like stages, trying new things, succeeding or failing. All these emotions and feelings because like we are empathetic beings. So as we see that is working for someone, we think, oh wow, that can work for me. Because it goes back to that layer of the subconscious mind. So the subconscious and the nervous system, they need to see to believe that's possible and that's safe. So when we see to believe, rather than telling ourselves that's possible, we really create a transformation that happens in that remote file that's always present, that is our nervous system and our subconscious mind. Because it's very likely that for most of us, we had in our journey quite negative feedback about being creative, about being authentic, about expressing ourselves. And when we are on a space where more people are open to share and to express themselves, that transformation starts to happen within us. Just to put in a simple example, for instance, on my family environment, I have now a 1 year and 7 months baby, and I have a 5 year old. So I can see how my 1.5 and 7 months baby girl, she is really looking at my older boy and she's copying him. And she wants to be on the same level as him. So you can see that's a natural impulse of us. It's not that she is not satisfied being herself. She wants to evolve. She wants to develop. She wants to expand her skills, to be able to join in, to to get the satisfaction that can she can see her older brother getting from, I don't know, jumping from a couch to the other, whatever that might be. So in this environment where we talk creativity, when we have this community, we can see other people on their journey, finding their ways, finding their self expression, finding their authentic voice. Because so much is said nowadays about being authentic, being yourself. And that's not the focus, that's a consequence. So as you do more and more of this work, creating whatever that might be with ceramics, writing, painting, whatever is the thing that is really calling you now, that's a way of expressing yourself, dancing, whatever that might be, you notice that this transformation starts happening and you start freeing yourself. But that said, most of the times that we share our creative expressions is very much as if we were opening our chest, getting our heart out because we put our hearts into it and giving to other people to judge. And that can be really threatening. That can really hurt us. So just imagine that you created a piece, whatever that was, as a young version of yourself or as an older version of yourself. And then you come out to show it and you're really proud of your expression for whatever reason, because you gave your best, because you think that's beautiful, because it makes you feel proud of yourself because you went through a challenge and you overcame. And then you go and show it to your teacher, to your parents, in your social media. And the feedback that you get is negative. So it's a piece of your heart that you're putting out, and then you get a negative feedback. So that really feels like you get hurt. I got an assistant. Do you want to come here with me for a sec? So that's my biggest little one. Come here. And come here, Lynn. Did you hurt yourself? Okay, come here. Do you want to sit here with mommy a little bit? So mommy's talking about being creative. You are very creative, aren't you? And you love making your pieces and your things. So do you like to help mommy and mommy can keep going? Yeah, thanks, Bob. So when you're putting like your piece of work out and you really get a negative feedback, that can be quite threatening to do that again. Let's see if Louie wants to go. Lena is ready for you. Can you go with her, please? Yeah, thank you. And that's the process that often gets us into a freeze state. Because if you have this feedback, this external feedback, when you're creating something, and then you just don't feel like doing it again because you really got hurt. And this healing journey of really giving yourself another chance, despite the hurt that you felt, how like heartbroken you got after putting some work out and getting a negative feedback. That's a really powerful journey. And it's not necessarily easy, but what you get when you get through the other side is just so fulfilling because your potential is there. Because we all came here to express ourselves freely. We all came here to be our unique, authentic versions. But we go through these ups and downs. And I find that creativity is this really powerful tool because even though it's threatening, it's to a smaller scale. But for us, for our body, for our nervous system, it is perceived as a real threat. So if you created this beautiful piece that you're proud, then you go out there and show, and it gets perceived as something that's not good enough. It really feels like you are not good enough, but that's not the case. And when we understand that, we can really give ourselves permission to create. And before we put it out there, we can remind ourselves that's like, hey, that's just a piece of my work that I made with love, that I put my heart into it, that I put my best intentions, that I'm proud of because I went through challenges that no one knows the challenges that you went through unless you verbalize and express it. But then you know that as you're going to show it to the whole universe out there, or for your personal universe, whatever that might be for you, you know that's not you. It's just an expression of a moment, something that you created. And that separation really can create a powerful change in allowing yourself to create again and again and again, and going through this internal process again and again and again. And on the end of that, you get a better version of yourself because you know where it hurts, you know where it can be sensitive. And that's just one version of it, because it could also be that you put your work out there, your best work, your best expression, and is received really well. And then you feel really good about yourself because the work that you created is received really well. And it could also be that you get mixed feelings. Some people might receive it really well, some people may don't receive it well. And that's okay. So you start creating a bit of a separation in between you and the work. Even though the work is an expression of yourself, it's still not you. And I think that get very blurry, like the veil is very, very thin on that. And once we really look from above, from like eyes view kind of perspective, you can really get a different experience altogether. And that allows you to try new things, to express what you want, to be playful, to be serious if you want. There are so many types of creative work. Some are very free flow, let's say an abstract painting. It it just doesn't feel like it has rules. Whereas if you go for a ceramic piece, for instance, that can be very um, technical, is a very different expression of yourself, and you are able to do both. So just really understand where you are going, what feels good for you, and do it for you. And the way that I like to put it, that I notice with Louis, for instance, when he comes into my studio, whatever is on the table, he has no questions. He rarely asks me, how do I use this? Or what do I do with that? It's often more like, okay, I know how to do it, and go and try it. And that's what I want to really um, have for me as a role model as well. Yes, things have techniques, things have ways that they can be done, but we can also forget the rule book and just go and play and see what happens. What happens if I mix here? And you can learn for sure. Like, I am a try and error kind of person. I like to fuck around and find out. That works for me well. Other people prefer to really read the manual and then go and do something and find what works for you. There is no real right or wrong. We all very different, but we all feel the same emotions. So I can come up with a toolbox that works for me, but might not be relevant for you. Yet is inspiring to know that different people will have different tools and they're gonna use different tools to create different things. And I think that's really the power of understanding your own creative flow and where you sit and where you are in your journey, and allow yourself to be free to create whatever you want whenever you want, because it is a journey of giving yourself permission, understanding that you are worth whether your work was valued or not. And sometimes you can dislike something when you create and later on love it, and vice versa. Really love something when you are creating, and then as the piece finishes, you're like, actually, it was going in a direction that I was liking, but I don't like anymore. And that's okay. That's part of the process. Just enjoy to use your creative process to expand your self perception, and it's like it's gold to me, at least. And then I got some notes here, so because I was thinking a lot about that, and I was like, I don't want to miss anything. So authenticity, that's a topic that has been up there. Everyone is talking about it. It's something that it's getting more and more emphasized out there. And my take on that is, I always felt like I am an authentic version of myself. But I noticed that I have different masks for different areas of my life. But I'm working on an ongoing to really be my most authentic version in all my versions. And that's like a journey, because we want to be loved, we want to be accepted, we want to be appreciated, and we want to be ourselves. And how much we compromise of who we really are to have this reassurance that we are loved, that we are appreciated, and all of that. So when it comes to my own experience, I noticed that if I am regulated, if I am calm, if I am myself most of the time, I can do that really easily. But when life gets on the way and the demands rise or unexpected things come about, it's harder for me to find that baseline where I can be myself. Because what I'm noticing is some new things came into my life in this last year or so. And on this transformation, I noticed that being a beginner is a big thing. And giving myself permission to be a beginner is a big thing, because I like to perform well on whatever I do. I don't like to be a beginner in general, but I actually am learning and I am enjoying being a beginner for the first time in a long, long time since adult life. And in that, it's okay to go wrong. It gives me more room to try new things within that thing that I'm being a beginner, whatever that might be. And it's really powerful because it's I have a way gentler approach on myself. I'm kind to myself when I'm aware that I'm a beginner, because the work that I'm doing with myself when in this baseline, like healthy balance level, which also has ups and downs, I can really understand that, like, let's say I'm trying a new technique and I know that I'm a beginner with that. But I know that today I'm not having such a good day for whatever reason, or at this moment, there's a lot in my mind. I won't put any pressure on me. If it worked, it worked. If it didn't, it didn't. Whereas if I'm on a more balanced state and is not flowing, I actually have more ability to step out and look and think if it's worth it to dedicate a bit more to it, or if it's actually better to just let it go and start something else. So, and understanding that authenticity piece as we move in our creative practice, it's really, really powerful because it really transforms our experience and is more and more um, reassuring of who we are in that space. And when we share spaces or when we have people around, I find that at times it's easier to have that self-awareness because people can just come, how are you going? What's going on? Like, what are you making? And I invite you to inquire yourself on your process as if you are talking to someone. How is it going? What's going on? Like, what is it? Because sometimes that construction and verbalizing on what is going on and explaining to another person can be really insightful. And if you do that within yourself, you can get then this insight on your creation, what's going on, why is working, why is not. So, yeah, I just invite you to really reflect and think if you are really expressing yourself authentically in that space, because that will really go out to all other spaces of your life. And there is nothing that's more enjoyable than just being yourself. Like it's just such a good thing, not being worried, not being like, not overthinking about what you're saying, what you're thinking, if that's right, if that's wrong, if that's appropriate or not. So just be. The idea is, of course, not being rude to anyone or not consider anyone, but yet just allow yourself to be yourself and to express yourself in the way that you feel at each time. And the thing that I think is the most important of this conversation is like giving yourself permission to be and being that support person for yourself, as if you had a child and you really wanted to support them through something, and start noticing what is your, like, what are the voices in your head saying. Like, are they really supporting you? Like, you can do that. It's okay. Like, it's okay that this one went wrong. You can give it another go. Or it's okay if it's not working today. Why you don't try again like tomorrow? Or like, well, why you don't just let this one go and do something else that you are really keen on trying? Why you don't bring that idea that you've been thinking for a long time and just really switch and go to that other practice? I don't know. For instance, I have here that I bought some watercolor that I'm like to do for a long time. And I'm still trying to find that time to really stop something and do it. And I'm reminding myself, like, hey, maybe since that other thing is not flowing, I'll just stop and do some watercolor. Or maybe I'll go for a walk, whatever that might be. Just have a housekeeping of what are the voices in your head saying. And could you find a voice in there that supports you, that believes in you, that trusts in you, that believes that you are capable? And just really build that relationship with that version of yourself that believes on you. And that is a very powerful thing for our creative way of living, because that allows you to explore, to be curious. And what if? What if I do that? And if it doesn't work, you can be kind. And this whole process for me, it's so powerful. So, in a way, like quiet. It happens just within our mind, but it represents itself with this external creations that we are bringing to life. And I think that is the biggest thing with creativity is this powerful, loud yet silent processes that we go through in our journey. And then like I think the thing is like that repair that happens on our creative practice. And as you know, like there's so much art therapy and healing through art. And whether that's something that you're looking for, whether that's something that's happening like organically, it will always be there. It will always be happening because being creative, creating art, like it is a transformation in this process of who you are. You never start a creative process and finish being the same person. You always change a little bit when you're creating. And if you can use that in a way that will support you and your self development in all areas of your life, I think that there's no better way because it's fun, it's grounding, it brings you to presence. It does take you out of your mind as you get into that state of flow. It really regulates you as a whole. And I don't know, I find it so beautiful, so powerful, and it's right there for us. And if you are here, it's because you already have a creative practice, has had a creative practice, or is looking to bring your creative practice to life. And I think that's really beautiful and really powerful. And I think from the things that I had here to bring up a bit more, um, so the inquiries and the questions to finish this insight is: are you avoiding feeling anything, and that's why you avoiding creating something new or creating something specific or getting out of your comfort zone? Or are you in that feeling that I can create anything? I want to try new things. You have already a direction. Notice where you are. There's no right or wrong. We all go through the same cycles in different stages of our life. And that's the point. And just understanding and having that picture of where you are. So then you can be kind with yourself wherever you are, and you know how much pressure you can put, or if you should take the pressure out altogether. So I invite you to reflect on your creative journey, looking back, looking now, and looking where you want to go. So you can really notice what was the best that has happened to you on your creative journey, what was the worst, where are you at, and where would you like to go next? Because that's where it's at, understanding your journey. And that reflection can happen when you are creating, can happen when you're journaling, can happen when you're thinking. But just understand where you are at, because I find that that's really powerful. Many times we really forget, and same with myself, to really stop and think: where am I going with this? Why am I here? Am I having fun? Like, what is the point of that? And where would I like to go if I was completely free? What would I be doing? And then see what you can do to allow that completely free version of yourself to come out and to create and to express. And yeah, just to have the joy of being yourself. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that, and we talk more in the chat. And any other questions and things that you want to talk about it, just flick a little question on the questions, and I'm going to be going through them on the live calls. Thank you very much, and we talk soon.